Well, in part two of my conversation with Ghanaian President John Dramani Mahama, he tells us about his nation's economic challenges and strategies he is instituting to remedy the current economic decline. But first, he explains how Ghana has managed to remain stable in an often restive region.
In 1992, we adopted a new constitution, and I guess that constitution has been one of the fundamental bases of the good democracy, constitutional rule, and stability that we are seeing in Ghana. All the political stakeholders agree that we will go to elections every 4 years, and the people of Ghana will decide who they want to rule them.
Now, while that has been the case, in fact, the country is very stable, it has been a democratic country, and economically it has got some good reports. Lately, we're noticing that economically there are things that are not happening right. Your currency has kind of dropped quite a bit against the major international currencies. The inflation is kind of running high. What is the problem, especially under your leadership? What have you perceived to be the major problem for this kind of economic decline in the last few years?
It is the fundamental substructure that we need to reform. Ghana has gone through a cycle of booms and busts. It seems to take a regular 4-year cycle, and it's partly due to things that happen externally on the international stage, but also partly due to our own internal stresses. On the external stage, I would attribute it to the fact that our leading exports are international commodities that are subject to fluctuation in their prices. And so for the last challenge that we're currently going through, it is as a result of the dramatic decline in gold and cocoa prices in 2012 and 2013. It led to a loss of export revenues in the magnitude of about $1.5 billion. And so naturally it would affect, our economy. But internally, I would also say that it was a result of some policies that we were implementing. One was a wage policy to try and create a universal wage salary structure for all public sector workers. I think its management went out of hand, and so it ballooned the wage bill from a little under 3 billion to almost 9 billion by 2013. Aside from that, I guess that the subsidies that we had on petroleum products and utilities also contributed. These subsidies were unsustainable, and government has been struggling to take them off over the last several years. So that combination of factors, is probably what led to the current crisis we face. And so we need to make some fundamental reforms in the substructure of our economy in order that we don't have this continuous cyclical economic challenges.
Now, locally, one of the biggest challenges that Ghana has faced, just along with many African countries, is adding value to the product from within the country. In fact, having manufacturing kind of vibrant in the country so that you don't have to import things from outside. I mean, it doesn't make sense for a Ghanaian to buy chocolate from abroad. What are you doing to make sure that the local industry can blossom and serve the country?
In my State of the Nation address this year, I called for a transformation of the economy, and we're working to do that. We have exports bringing in about $13 billion a year, and then we turn around and import about $17 billion worth of products a year. So there's a $4 billion gap in our terms of trade. Now that gap is filled with a lot of things that we could comparatively produce ourselves. We import $400 million worth of rice a year, as of the last statistics we have available. We import almost $200 million worth of sugar a year. We import fish products in excess of $100 to $200 million a year. We import tomato products. We import vegetable oils. These are items that we have a comparative advantage to produce. There's no reason why we should be importing rice. There's a time when Ghana was self-sufficient in production of rice, and actually was a net exporter of rice. And so government is doing everything to, apart from increasing our exports, also import substitutes, make sure that we increase the production of some of the products for which we're spending a lot of foreign currency in order that we can bring down our import figures. Aside from these major imports, we also have items like toothpicks, you know, made of bamboo from China. We have bamboo forests in Ghana. And I mean, the equipment for manufacturing toothpicks costs $50,000. It can be a small family business, and we don't need to import toothpicks. Plastic products, toy dolls, and like you said, chocolates, which we have a comparative advantage to produce. We're one of the leading cocoa manufacturing countries in the world. And so that is the strategy of government. And so that transformation is ongoing, and I believe that it will take time. The results don't show overnight. It takes a little while, and I'm sure that Ghanaians will see the results over time.
Well, President Mahama was visiting the U.S. as part of the U.S. Africa Leaders Summit. We will bring you more of my conversation with him on tomorrow's Africa 54.